Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to episode 254. Welcome to Star Trek, and welcome to the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan. I'm joined by one of the Starfleet Academy members, Zach.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Zach, it's occurred to me that it's like really fucking hot outside.
There have been days where I walked out and I thought I was in a volcano. I'm not gonna lie, it's that hot. I think yesterday was like the hottest day on record. I think
hottest day. Hopefully somewhere you guys are listening to us in a cool spot. Like, I don't know. We do have some listeners over in Alaska, so hopefully it's like nice and cool in Alaska where you're watching or listening to. Speaking of watching, welcome everybody from Facebook Live and Emisawa Productions YouTube channel, as we're here every Wednesday at 5:30. And then if you're listening to the audio version on Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Apple Music, wherever you listen to podcasts at, welcome to this episode. Zach, why has it taken us 254 episodes to talk about Star Trek?
I don't know, because I remember you telling me to get out of the room and I said I'm not a Star Trek fan, so that was like way back in 2019, so it's been a while.
But we have a pretty a fun packed show for you guys. We're going to look back at Pirates last week. We have a summer end giveaway, which is coming up here in the next few weeks. You're going to get to walk away with some prizes. We're going to talk about some recent watches, and then we are talking our top 5 worst movies of 2023 so far. And then we're going to get into J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. But Zach, how was the weekend for you? Did you go swimming, or did you work on that luscious tan that you have going on over there?
Luscious tan, let me tell you about it, guys. No, so pasty white. No, it was kind of a cool, not cool as in weather-wise, but it's kind of laid-back kind of weekend. Went to the theater, which I'll talk about in recent watches, and
you also
nice dinner, and that's about it.
This weekend.
Yeah, this dude over here stalking me as I was coming into the restaurant.
But yeah, it was kind of a slow weekend. Not a lot of things happening. I looked back last week at Pirates of the Caribbean. It was the 20th anniversary. We also had some links that you guys can still go check out to help out Franco and Tiff with their daughter's situation. If you want to know more, please click on those links or go back and listen to last week's episode. You can also hit us up on the social media accounts. Facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word / the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Twitter is at Cine-Men405. And the email, you can email us at cinemen921@gmail.com. Zach, I also asked those same questions over social media this past weekend. People's worst movies of the year so far, people's favorite movies of the year so far, and then also what they're most looking forward to. So I will go through social media, and instead of emails this week, we'll go through social media and talk about those. You can win some digital copies. I gave away digital copies of Evil Dead this past weekend and Smile. And there was another one I gave away too. So go check out all those social medias to win some digital copies. The summer end giveaway, which you will get a $50 San Marcos food certificate, a case of OKC soda, and some movie tickets to Rodeo Cinema. And it also comes with more food, 2 free large pizzas from Red and Blues Pizza, a certificate from that as well. So you guys can win a summer end giveaway. It also comes with a nice cooler to keep your drinks ice cold. So more details on that coming up. Probably look for that at the end of July. But Zach, what about any recent watches that you want to talk about or mention to any of the listeners?
Just the big thing. I went and saw Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Loved it. It's very, very close to Fallout, and maybe I think it's just a little bit less, just because this is part 1 of 2, so we got to see how it ends to wrap it all up. Great action, great characters. I thought Haley Atwell stole the whole entire film. I thought she was excellent in it. And it, like Fallout, keeps you on your toes and gets you excited for the next one. So go see Mission Impossible. I rewatched Insidious. I might go see Insidious: The Red Door next week. It just depends. And continue on The Good Doctor on Hulu. That's about it.
Did you ever watch the final episode of The Big Bang Theory?
Yes, I did. I think that was homework a couple episodes ago.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was a good ending for the series. I thought it did have emotional weight. I thought it wrapped everything up in a nice little bow. And I'm going to disagree. I think the final scene of them on the couch, it was perfect. I mean, that literally summed up the whole show, because that's pretty much 90% of the time what they were doing. So
maybe it's because I had, in my mind, I had the series finale of Friends, Seinfeld. I had all that going through my mind about, are these group of friends dismembering? Are they going their own separate ways? So maybe maybe I should have just not drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah,
I mean, it kind of plays with the idea, but I think at the end of the day, these are characters that they don't really know how to be with anybody else, if that makes sense. So
I'm gonna go rapid fire through mine real quick. If you want to talk about any of them, go ahead. Sisu, Evil Dead Rise, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Beau is Afraid, Insidious: The Red Door, Hereditary, Lamb, The End of the Tour, Saint Maud, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, The Martian, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Smile, and Scream 6.
Oh, well,
I don't know what that was from. And then
technical difficulties, folks.
Star Trek for today's episode. But I do want to touch on The Red Door. I thought it was pretty captivating. I thought the first half was really, really good. The ending was kind of a letdown for me. Since you haven't seen it and you plan on going and seeing it, I'll leave it at that. But Zach, what do you think about taking toddlers to a PG-13 horror movie?
I feel a rant coming on. I don't understand.
Wanted to get up and ask for my money back because little sons of bitches would not shut up.
You know what?
I don't think it's their fault though, because they were saying, that they were afraid and they didn't want to be there. I feel like they should probably went and saw like The Little Mermaid or something.
Yeah. I don't understand this whole concept, but the world is what it is.
Or The Flash, they could have went and saw The Flash, or something different other than Insidious on a Saturday night at 7:30.
Or if The Flash is even still in theaters, I don't know.
It was. They had one showing this past weekend. I almost
Good God
did not want to go see it. But you guys gave it a good rating though. I don't know why it's getting really like shit reviews now.
It's
I think it's one of those, everybody else was giving it bad ratings, so let's follow the trend and let's give it bad ratings.
It's not even that. It's almost like the more like I think about it, like the less I remember it, if that makes any sense. It's almost like the farther I get away, it's just like it was. I think I put it at like a 7. It's almost down to it's fine. Like it doesn't hurt anything. Other than Michael Keaton, everything's just like, okay, that's what we're doing.
I mentioned this to you guys earlier. I am technically now, because of all the reviews that I've sent in, I am technically a certified fresh Rotten Tomatoes critic. Now,
nice.
Whether that probably doesn't come with a payday, knowing my luck, it's probably they send me a big box of tomatoes every 6 months, I think. It probably doesn't come with a payday, but now it does. I get some benefits from it. I think they're like some movie tickets or some vouchers to go pick up some movies. So that's good news. And there's actually
nice.
I guess it's just nice that it has that certificate and plaque that's coming in the mail. So that's good, I guess.
Is it? I know you can create just a free account. I guess do you just keep writing reviews until they say you're certified? You can actually make or break a movie, essentially.
Yeah. That's exactly how it went. And then I did link all the social media accounts with the application. So after you review so many movies and after you send in, so many paragraphs and stories and reviews, they review your application and they send you an actual certification of congratulations, you have no life. But it's been.
Listen, if I see your ass on there giving Oppenheimer a bad review just for the hell of it, this movie sucks. ... I've not even seen it. So.
But it's it's been like 5 years in the making. So I don't I don't think it comes with a payday, but it is nice to get a little recognition, I guess.
Well, and I remember like hearing about that. I was like, well, I think it takes like a while to actually you get certified. So you gotta review like 20 years of movies before you get your certificate.
Yeah. And I've reviewed some bad movies.
Oh god, this wasn't that bad.
But you guys can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts at. Other than recent watches, if I had to recommend anything, go to the theater and check out Insidious. Beau is Afraid is really good. It's not as long as it feels. The girth scared me. I thought the 3 hours was going to be a little too much. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret was actually really good.
Yeah.
Evil Dead. You wanted to know my thoughts on Evil Dead. I thought it was okay. I thought I appreciated that it wasn't in the setting of like a cabin.
Yeah.
I appreciated that it wasn't cheesy. The special effects was actual practical was nice. I'm glad that they didn't use CGI for all the bloody gore scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun with it. It was a fun time in the theater, so it was nice to listen to people like squirm and stuff. So,
did you see Mission Impossible in IMAX?
Yeah.
Was it packed?
Not as packed as I thought it would be. I think Oppenheimer that I'm seeing on Saturday has more people in it than Mission Impossible did.
Weird.
Yeah.
Evil Dead was packed. Not Evil Dead.
Insidious.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mission Impossible not packed. I wonder if it has anything to do with his beliefs.
I think people are just like, this is part one.
What is it? What else came out this past week or last week? The Sound of Metal.
Sound of Metal. Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
That's still in theaters. So yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty packed too. Even though those are probably some of the better movies of 2023, let's talk and rank our top 5 worst movies of 2023 so far. Top 5 worst movies of this year so far. Zach, we're just at the halfway point. I've seen some pretty terrible movies. I think you have too. So let's put it out there so people can try to either stay away from them or go and check them out. Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do have 2. I just want to preface I really haven't seen like an awful movie, like just like this really pissed me off type movie yet this year. But these are movies that are just like, it's fine to disappointing. That's kind of in the category for me. So my 2 honorable mentions is Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, and the official honorable mention is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. I'm done with Transformers, but stop.
You said that after the last night.
Oh. You better hope we never talk about The Last Night, because I will just destroy that film. It's so bad.
Man, my honorable mention is just going to be pretty much a disappointed view. I can't. Not a stroke. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm disappointed in it. I know it could have been better, and I know the CGI could have been a lot better, but that falls in my honorable mentions category. Zach, what's your number 5th worst movie this year?
So my 5th worst movie of the year, I didn't even have high expectations, but I thought the trailer was cool. It was a cool concept. but it just really, it kind of just flatlined. Number 5 is 65, the Adam Driver dinosaur movie.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
No, like I said, it wasn't bad. It's fine. It's just a combination of Jurassic Park meets Interstellar, and I thought that was kind of a cool idea, but I don't know. I don't think that they executed the vision of what they want to do as good as it could have been. So Adam Driver gave a good performance, and I mean, it's always cool to see dinosaurs, but it's fine.
Number 5 for me, it pains my heart to say this because Adam Sandler is in it, but number 5 for me is Murder Mystery. Part 2.
No.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and not even the Sandman could save that concept. So that's number 5 for me.
My number 4, again, great concept. As a pretty capable director, he's kind of been on a resurgent here lately. Knock at the Cabin, pretty much the first big movie of the year, I thought, and I think the best thing about the movie is Dave Bautista. I thought he did a very good job, gave a good performance. With all these Shyamalan movies, you're always expecting like a big twist and like how does it relate to everything else? And I feel like the whole point of the movie is just toying with you until finally it actually is. It is what everyone's been saying it is. And I thought the twist of this movie wasn't as strong.
I think that's what made it positive for me was that this is the first M. Night movie where there wasn't really a big twist, and it was led with great performances and just an eerie concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Bautista was the best part. Number 4 for me, this one is getting like some mixed reviews, more positive than negative, and I don't understand why because I thought this movie was just boring. Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know why a lot of people are saying this was like one of the surprise movies of the year, but it was boring. It was just Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine just did not answer the door for me at all. It was just finger twiddling. Like I was literally waiting for it to become something different, and it was a big ball of. Are we done yet?
Garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started watching that movie, but then stopped for whatever, and I just haven't had the desire to go back and rewatch it.
We're talking about Chris Pine today too, so that's funny. What's number 3 for you?
My number 3 is going to be, I felt like it was an independent film, but kind of made some waves. I think it came out the same day as Across the Spider-Verse, so obviously it wasn't going to get no attention. Number 3 is The Boogeyman. It was a remake or adaptation of the Stephen King short story. Again, great atmosphere, not great at execution. And I'm just like...
Was it rated R?
No, it's PG-13. So I feel like if you're not going to do an R-rated Stephen King, it's just pointless. So
is that the remake from like the 2003 version? There's a movie in 2003, 2004 called The Boogeyman.
No, I thought it had something to do with that, or like you said, a direct remake of that one, but it's not. Oh, actually, it is. It is actually. So I guess I was wrong. So
I feel like if you want to watch a good movie about somebody calling somebody the Boogeyman, just go watch Halloween.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Number 3 for me is something that I really want to like because I love Toni Collette and I love Italian monster movies.
Oh God, no.
Number 3 for me is Mama Mafia. Just cheesy, terrible. It's everything that you don't want a comedy to be. I think I laughed maybe like once. This is the movie that will get your grandma out of the house to go probably to the movie theaters. This and the Book Club Part 2.
Oh God, that better not be number 2.
But it shamed me because I was like, oh, this is funny. They're actually using like, The Godfather, and they're gonna like reference it throughout the whole movie. And Toni Collette is funny, but it just was stale. I think the comedy was stale. Like I said, I think it was written for, no offense, like people in their 60s and 70s to come out to the movie theater and try to laugh. It just felt like it did not age at all. So even though those are the supposedly the movies that Toni Collette wants to do are, you know, comedies, but it felt really cheap. It felt really cheap too. Like the budget wasn't very big, so I don't know. I would not waste another hour and 45 minutes on it.
Or Toni Collette, you can go do more A24 movies. We're not opposed to doing that. So,
what's number 3 for you, or 2?
Number 2, you're probably gonna hate me. Number 2 is Cocaine Bear. I just couldn't.
On.
I
They're
couldn't,
so much
dude.
Fun.
I couldn't. Not enough bear killing humans, and just more like crappy, terrible, just character tropes of just different things I've seen before, and it's just
Ray Liotta himself saved that movie and made it watchable.
Yeah, and that happened. That might be one of his final movies, so I'm sorry. I mean, it was a good concept. It was just, I guess, knowing the fact that I know the true story of what happened, it was just like, no, the bear was not going to go run ballistic and kill people like that. You know, I mean, I think it instantly died like once it inhaled all that cocaine. So,
I don't know the true story about it.
So yeah, it just that might be in competition.
Next week we're talking about cocaine.
I'll see you the week after, guys.
Number 2 for me is Shotgun Wedding with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh
yeah, and
Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel. Some scenes were fun, but it was pretty tough to watch.
Well, you're braver than I am, I guess.
You didn't try it?
No, I'm good. On the other hand, Jennifer Lopez's other movie, The Mother, on Netflix is actually pretty good. So.
Oh, you've already seen it?
Yeah.
Is it just a Netflix exclusive?
Yeah.
Thing gave me Couples Retreat vibes with a little bit of Sicario mixed in there and some Training Day aspects.
Never thought Sicario and Training Day would be mixed in with the.
It was like a Sicario Couples Retreat kind of feeling.
Well, preparing for Training Day, yeah. I see what you're doing. Okay. All
I
right.
think it would have worked if somebody else other than Josh Duhamel was her husband. To me, he's not like a leading guy, and if you're not a leading guy, you're not going to stand up next to Jennifer Lopez. Even though the movie and the concept might be terrible, Jennifer Lopez still can hold her own. And I know the movie's it's a J-Lo movie, but they should have got somebody who's just a little bit better on their toes instead of him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree with you because I haven't seen it, but I understand what you're saying. So,
all right, Zach, go for it.
My number 1 was probably the first big movie of the year, and it is a just different version of Chucky. Number 1 is Megan. Just a very drab, very predictable, very. A lot of people seem to like it. I think they enjoyed the comedy of it, but I just thought it was very cringy in my opinion. Just like, wow, okay. People actually went and saw that.
Is it because of you hear or you're like, I've seen Chucky, been there, done that. This is not a new concept.
Yeah, I understand they're trying to put AI into it and make it modern, but it just no.
That's what the new Chucky did. Remember when? Have you seen the new one? They made him AI.
The television show or like
the movie with Mark Hamill, where Mark Hamill played Chucky's voice.
Oh yeah. Well, that was better than this, I thought. So
number 1 for I know a lot of people's gonna probably give me some flack. Like, dude, it's a fucking kids movie. But number 1 for me is Peter Pan. Disney's Peter Pan was just really terrible, and I was looking forward to seeing a new live action Peter Pan. But this one it did not do it for me. I would rather watch Power of the Dog.
Oh no!
Back-to-back times.
That bad?
Yeah. At least Power of the Dog has Benedict Cumberbatch in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what was this fucking guy hating on Peter Pan for? But
well, that was weird because it's from David Lowery, who did The Green Knight and A Ghost Story and some pretty good movies. So I'm just kind of shocked by that. He did the Pete's Dragon remake, and I thought that was pretty good.
That was actually pretty good. Any new trailers that came out this past week that you want to talk about before we head on to Star Trek? What do you think of Wonka?
I think it looks cool. I like how they're kind of doing the Christmas Harry Potter type theme and make him real magical and just kind of a business model type thing of how he gets the factory. So I think it looks cool. I think Timothée Chalamet is going to knock it out of the park.
Does he have that and Dune back-to-back weeks?
No, he has Dune in back-to-back months. He has Dune in November and then Wonka for Christmas. So
damn, he's going to be using up
making some money.
His flyer miles.
Yeah.
At least he's going to have a nice Christmas. That's all that matters, right?
He will. Maybe he can get some award buzz out of this. Maybe get some award buzz for Wonka. We'll see.
Today we are talking about Star Trek from 2009, directed by J.J. Abrams. The brash James T. Kirk tries to live up to his father's legacy, with Mr. Spock keeping him in check as a vengeful Romulan from the future creates a black hole to destroy the Federation and one planet at a time. Zach, do you know what the T in James T. Kirk stands for?
Tobias.
Yeah,
you ain't gonna stump me on Star Trek.
IMDb has this at a 7.9. Rotten Tomatoes is at 94%. The Metascore is at 82%. And the Google users like it at 85%. It had a $150 million budget, but ended up grossing a little over $386 million at the box office as it released May 7th, 2009. You can actually check this out on Netflix, Paramount Plus, or you can rent it on Prime Video for $3.99. Starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, Leonard Nimoy, Eric Bana, Bruce Greenwood, Carl Urban, Zoe Saldana, John Cho, Anton Yelchin, Winona Ryder, Chris Hemsworth, and fucking Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry's in this movie.
Yeah, that kind of shocked me a little bit.
Directed by J.J. Abrams. And let's talk about just the lore of Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry, created the characters, the TV show. If you guys were listening to recent watches, I had The Wrath of Khan on there, which film sci-fi nerds, sci-fi fans, Star Trek fans, Trekkies, I thought Wrath of Khan was a complete fucking disaster.
Okay, so that's a twist, because I thought a lot of people like Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan is supposed to be the best Star Trek movie. Some people even put it over these last three, but it was just a big ball of yawning for me. And I was sitting there thinking, and I did some research, and I didn't watch any of the original Star Trek TV series, motion picture. I've seen all 6 movies, or 7. I think there's 7 total, including Next Generation crew. But Wrath of Khan was just boring, and I really do think it has to do with taking the original TV crew and putting them on film. Like, I just think that some TV cast for TV, or they're made for TV series, I think you should have kept them at that. I don't know. How do you feel? Have you seen any of the older Star Trek movies, the TV show? How do you feel about what you can at least remember with the original crew?
So I'll just go ahead and preface this by saying I'm not a Trekkie. I've never been into Star Trek. I remember when I was little and waking up in the middle of the night, the TV was on and Next Generation was on. I was like, okay, I remember kind of being involved. I kind of like the sets and the characters and everything, but I've never seen the original trilogy. I've never seen Next Generation. Sorry. Never seen any of the original films. The only ones I've seen are the J.J. Abrams one, or this new trilogy. And that's as far as my knowledge can go. So, I know the characters in this one we're reviewing are obviously from the original series, so I have that knowledge going into it. But that's the extent of it. So,
and I'm not hating on any of the Star Trek movies. I think they're decent sci-fi films, and of course, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, the list goes on. Kirstie Alley, But like, I don't know, I just didn't feel excitement for watching Wrath of Khan. Now I know we're not reviewing Wrath of Khan, but I had to compare and contrast and supposedly Star Trek and Into Darkness, from what J.J. Abrams says, is his version of Star Trek 1, 2, 3, and 4 mixed in together in the first 2 films.
Okay.
Obviously, you do get to meet Khan in Star Trek Into Darkness, J.J. Abrams' version,
Right.
Which we'll talk about next month in August because it's its 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
But going back to Star Trek 2009, dude, I loved everything about this movie. The opening, meeting the Romulans, meeting not Neo. Is it Neo? No.
Nero.
Nero. I thought Eric Bana played a tremendous villain who I just now found out it was Eric Bana like 2 weeks ago. But I thought it was just an outstanding action sci-fi film. Yeah, and my first introduction to Star Trek was the original movies when I was like 10, and then my dad constantly watched Deep Space Nine and Next Generations. So I technically grew up with Patrick Stewart being the captain.
Picard.
So, yeah, Picard. But let's review it. Do you remember the first time you seen this? What was it like? And honestly, what was it like for this rewatch?
So I did see this in the theater. I remember being really, really into it. I thought that I liked the characters. I liked the iterations that J.J. Abrams was able to put together in this movie. We'll talk about the cast, obviously. And I thought it was a really well-made movie. And I was like, okay, I could like the Star Trek. It's kind of cool. And obviously Into Darkness and Beyond, which I'm sure we'll talk about. I think Into Darkness next month, and Beyond probably in September. I was into it. I really, really was into it. I was just like, okay, these are Star Trek movies I could follow, I can get into. And on this rewatch, I wasn't into it. I don't know if it just wasn't. I don't know if it just was the chore of watching it and just being like, this is stupid. I don't like this. But there's still a lot that's good in this movie, and ultimately, I think I'll give it a good grade in my estimation. But it didn't hit this time like it did the first time. So
the thing that really captivated me about this movie and this recent watch was the story of Kirk and Spock. How it automatically takes you back to their youngings, and Jim's father, played by Chris Helmsworth. I thought that was a terrific opening to feel for some of the pain that you might see Jim go through in the rest of the movie or movies. And then the same thing for Spock. Because to me, you have to deliver this film and you have to have some feeling for Spock, because when I first watched this movie, I was like, I'm going to be with Kirk all day, because I just could not appreciate anything about Zachary Quinto as Spock. But in this recent watch, I actually watched it twice in 2 weeks. I found the character development for Spock to me was gold and key. I ended up liking Zachary Quinto a lot more this time around in this watch of Spock. And let me go ahead and say that I think it's super unfair for people to ever compare Zachary Quinto Spock to Leonard Nimoy.
It's like it's like comparing Marlon Brando's Godfather to Tony Collette and Mafia Mama.
Yeah,
or even a closer comparison, Marlon Brando's Godfather, Don Corleone, to James Gandolfini's Tony Soprano. While they're very on the same level, they're obviously one started it all, and one is influenced by the other. So,
you think it would be a bad deal. I feel like Zachary Quinto gave Spock a little bit more charisma.
Yeah, I would agree. He gave him much more emotion, which I don't know if Leonard Nimoy ever did that. But
no, Leonard Nimoy, even in this movie, was probably still told, "Hey, you're supposed to be, you're supposed to have no feeling, no recollection. You're supposed to just logic only when it comes to Spock." But
yeah,
in this version of J.J. Abrams' movie, it's like you can't do that with Spock because he's half human, half Vulcan.
right.
So he has to, at least in this movie, he's got to show some human emotion, and I appreciated about that in this one.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think that the his iteration of Spock is much more likable. I think obviously Leonard Nimoy. I have no room to say my opinion on that because I've never really seen any of the original series or anything like that. But I'll say he's much more wooden, which I guess is what the character's supposed to be in the original series. But this one has much more free range, and like when the scene where I like the aspect of Uhura. Did I say that right?
Uhura.
Uhura. Uhura. Just got like 10 emails about that. Her comforting Spock and like showing emotion after his mother died. I thought that was a really good scene and very much needed to show that he still has the human emotion that he was born with.
Even Chris Pine bringing us Captain Kirk in this movie, like the William Shatner Kirk is still, to me, even he is more robotic, like non-believable, because I don't know, to me it's like he's a TV actor, so why would you get a TV actor to portray that on the big screen? But to me this was just a breath of fresh air comparing to the original one. But what did you think of the whole maybe first 45 minutes to an hour concept of getting introduced, getting on the ship, getting up into space, and then you go 4 years, three or 4 years into the future, and Spock's test, which is supposed to be unbeatable, is beaten. And the comedy aspect in this is so funny, especially when McCoy takes Kirk up into the ship and he gives him the
injection.
The injection.
Yeah, I thought that.
Which Carl Urban to me is one of the best parts of this movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought he gave a very good performance. I think that the sorry. I thought it was. I don't know if it was the pacing or just like the way the movie was made. It was just it was real quick. Mm-hmm. We did the intro of George Kirk, Chris Hemsworth character, pre-Thor, which I thought was funny seeing that now. Him sacrifice himself to save James, their childhood, they're in Starfleet, and now we're going. That's not a problem, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you have to show how these two different characters, two iconic characters, how they grew up, how they're so different from each other, and what's their flaws, what's their strengths.
Well, you don't think it did that in the first 10 minutes?
It did, but it was just too fast. We didn't really linger on it as much.
Because you got Kirk being a troublemaker, kind of a rebellious, doing whatever he kind of wants, getting the bar fights, and then with Spock, where his where his mind is always on family, mom, dad, being Vulcan, but he doesn't have an issue turning things away, or he doesn't have an issue doing things his way and not the Vulcan way if you push his buttons right. So I think it touched on those just enough. I think any longer, I think you probably would have been like that would have turned this into maybe like a 220 film, and I don't think you needed a 215, 220, 230 Star Trek movie.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, it was enough, but it was just too fast, I guess is my nitpick with it, I guess. So I like how they introduced like the mythology of Star Trek, how like Kirk comes across all these different characters, whether it be McCoy, Spock, Captain Pike. Who's Anton Yelchin's character?
Oh, he comes across Chevok.
Chevok and Scotty, which I thought Simon Pegg was easily the best casted character of the movie. Probably right behind Carl Urban. I like how it's not like a plan A to plan B, plan C. It's just where it feels very natural how he meets these characters. And I think that's the strong suit of J.J. Abrams' writing. He really knows how to fluidly bring characters together in a very interesting way.
Zach is dying on me. He's coughing too much. Put the weed down, Zach. What do you think of Ben Cross? I think it's, to me, if I had to take some, maybe you wanted to add 10 or 15 minutes. I think if I wanted to take 10 minutes away, I would take the 10 minutes away from Spock and his troubles with his parents, Winona Ryder and Ben Cross. To me, I think I could have taken that 10 minutes out of the movie and maybe focused that more on maybe another cast member, another crew member, or just something different. I feel like, and I know they wanted the whole reason for that was because you were eventually going to get Captain Kirk upsetting Spock so bad to where he ended up physically fighting in front of the crew members and getting disbanded, and that made Jim the captain. But if I had to take 10 minutes away from the film, it would be Spock showing too much emotions with his mom and dad.
Yeah, I like
even though the scene that Spock's mom died in was pretty deep.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I like that sequence where Vulcan gets destroyed and like becomes a whole black hole, and he loses his mother. I thought that was really well done. That's actually like the one iconic scene that just kind of sticks with me is Spock like beaming down on the planet, and he just looks around, and literally the whole planet is just like corrupting onto itself or coming in on itself. I thought was a very good visual. And even before that, the drill fight sequence where they land on the drill and they're Kirk and oh god, what's John Cho's character?
Sulu.
They have that fight, the sword fight. I thought was well done.
Oh yeah, he was another standout to me. That was like, I kind of forgot he was in this because around this time, he was doing all his high comedy stuff. Yeah, I thought he was a really good choice for Sulu. What do you think of Ahura, though, played by Zoe Saldana? She was more of a main in this one than probably the original character was in any of the other Star Trek movies, but I thought it was placed well.
From what I understand, she had more to do in this film than she did in the original series, which I think is much appreciated. Yeah. I thought she gave a good performance. Did they give a backstory to her? I don't remember. Or was it just kind of done in dialogue?
Not in this one. If they do, I think it might have been in Beyond. And it's going to be very interesting talking about those next two movies as well, too, because all the rumors around the fourth one, if, and where, but I don't think it's going to happen. If you want my honest opinion,
we'll get to it. But I just remember Into Darkness being just kind of like a big cinematic event.
It was a big deal.
Yeah,
it was a very big deal. Eric Bana as Nero. What did you think of the Romulan being the bad guys to start off this new Star Trek movies? I know a lot of people were disappointed because it was, it's always about Klingons and other things like that. But to me, I thought the introduction of Nero and the Romulans in this movie was good. What did you think?
I don't know, dude. Like Eric Bana's Hulk transformation got really weird, in my opinion. He was a good villain. I appreciated that the villain had some emotional stakes and emotional baggage. He just wasn't destroying just to be destroying. He actually had a cause of trying to find Spock, especially old Spock or future Spock. And his ability to be very threatening, but also kind of charismatic in a way to lure people in to get what he wants. I attribute that to not only the Eric Bennett's performance, but also J.J. Abrams' writing. I thought that was pretty well done.
Leonard Nimoy, them just bringing him in. What did you think? Did you think? To me, I feel like it kind of was not needed. I don't think you needed Leonard Nimoy in this movie.
Was it nostalgia just for nostalgia's sake?
Probably.
I remember in the theater that it got a huge applause. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
And I had to lean over to my mom. I was like, "Who is that?" She said, "Oh, he was from the original trilogy. He's like the other Spock." So.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to be in it. I think you just need to keep those original Star Trek memories far away from these new ones. Even though Leonard Nimoy being in this movie didn't hurt it any. But
probably made it better. I shouldn't say that, but it definitely was.
What about the scene where Kirk finally sat in the chair and just had that look and the camera angle right at his knees? Did you have any like emotion or sense of like finally when he sat in that captain's chair?
Yeah, I thought it was well placed. I thought I read some reviews saying that maybe it was too easily given to Kirk at that point. Maybe they should have waited till like the beginning of Into Darkness to give it to him. But I thought in order for this franchise to continue, you have to give him the chair in order for him to be captain, in order to have any more adventures. So I liked it. I thought it didn't have like a magical moment to me, but I thought Chris Pine's performance definitely helped that scene. So
I like the placing of the word when Spock was talking to Bones about Bones was talking about you just kind of threw your best prize fighter out, no fucks were given, and Spock used the terminology like, you have to break the horse before. Oh, Zach's dying on me.
I'm good.
But they were talking about the thoroughbred and how the horse must be broken first before, the thoroughbred can have its full potential. What do you think about that? Was it logic?
I thought it was a good metaphor for it, honestly. Obviously Kirk has this wild SOB that doesn't really care about the rules. And in order for him to become captain, Spock had to show him some humility, not only for his character, but also not only for Kirk's character, but for Spock's character. It takes him for where he needs to go in this franchise.
Yeah, it was almost. How can you put this? It was almost. It needed to happen because he did that to Kirk, but with him doing that to Kirk, it's almost, I don't know. It felt like a little high school game because they both ended up going back and forth with each other eventually on that ship. So with the ending, Nero does not return to the sequel. Romulans get theirs. Spock didn't even want to show mercy. Obviously, they blew up his home planet. What did you think of towards the ending, where all the dust was settled and Spock and Kirk get their win, but when they return back to the Starfleet, Spock is like, "Dad," and Leonard Nimoy turns around like, "I am not our dad." I feel like they should have kept they should have kept them away from each other.
Well, and to me, this was I really didn't know this until this rewatch. I didn't know that this was all dealing with time travel and alternate dimensions and multiverses and all that. I kind of thought that they should have had some kind of consequence for young Spock and old Spock to meet. Like it just created like a portal or a loop or something. And that sets up the second movie. But, it was fine. It was interesting to see the two characters converse and old Spock saying, "Hey, he's going to become your friend. He's going to become your most trusted ally one day." And, I know he's an ass, but you'll get used to it.
Were you a fan of the little creature that was with Simon Pegg's character? Scotty?
Yeah. Does he come back in the other movies? Part of me thinks he does.
I can't remember. Knowing J.J. Abrams, that's every sci-fi movie now has to have a little squishy toy that you can sell for $12.99, whether it's BB BB-8 or yeah. I'm gonna ask you: is it hands down? Is The Force Awakens just hands down better than this 09 Star Trek movie? Because he's the only. If I'm correct, he's the only director to direct a Star Wars and a Star Wars movie.
I think you're right, and I just being unbiased, I like Star Wars better, so I think Force Awakens is a better movie. But like I said, I prefer that franchise over Star Trek. So, like I said, I'm biased. What about you?
I prefer Star Wars as well, but looking back at it, I kind of feel like this is the underrated of the two. I think if you don't have that Solo death and that Skywalker ending, I think more people trash on Star Wars just as much as The Last Jedi. I think The Force Awakens gets just as trashed on as The Last Jedi because of how much and how picky those fans are. Now, I'm not saying I'm I'll stand right in the middle, but I think Star Trek is right behind The Force Awakens.
I think my biggest complaint about this movie is that there's so many damn lens flares in this movie. I mean, every 15 seconds, which I get. That's
Abrams,
that's his style of filmmaking. I get it, but it's like, damn, dude, do you need to do it every scene?
Did you go into
cardiac arrest or like a stroke or shock seizure or something?
Did you go into a seizure?
No, I survived that, but it's just I really didn't realize. Obviously, I wasn't focused on that when I was younger, but like as a film fan and observer, I didn't. It was just kind of shocking just how much of that was in there on this rewatch.
He does that a lot with Super 8, though.
Yeah.
Well, we compared the two. We talked about The Force Awakens and the 09 Star Trek. Overall, what was your main biggest letdown of this? If we can get to that.
You know what? I'm not.
Is it just because it's not your branding of sci-fi?
It comes down to that because, like I said, this movie came out in 2009, so I was like 16, 17 when this came out.
I bet you would enjoy it more now in the theater than you did back then.
I don't know. Like I remember being really into this in the theater and just kind of having a fun time with it. And I think this was a chore to watch it, to be honest. I think it was just like, oh, Star Trek, really? I know you've been trying to get us to do this for like the last 15 years. So, but like I said, it has good moments, it has good performances, has a good story. I do think J.J. Abrams did a very good job of directing and not only creating new versions of these characters, but also paying respect and homage to the old. So I think just the biggest thing is it's just not my cup of tea. So it was just kind of like a drag to get through at points. So
I really enjoyed the score.
Yeah, the score was good. It very, very Star Trek-y. And I will say the last scene of the Enterprise going into hyperspeed and it doing the original thing to the original Star Trek series, I thought was brilliant. I thought that was a very good ending for that first film.
Good ending. What about favorite scene? You have a favorite scene or two from this 09 Star Trek?
Probably the Vulcan planet being destroyed. And I thought the visual of that was really well done. And seeing the relationship between Spock and Kirk evolve in this film. Obviously, I know it gets a lot more deeper and probably more emotional and into darkness, which the whole time I was watching this, I was like, I'm really excited to rewatch that. I hadn't seen it since the theater, so I'm kind of glad we're doing it. So I have a reason to watch it. But mostly the Vulcan planet and the evolution of Spock and Kirk. And I'll take a step forward, and I thought Zachary Quinto was really good as Spock.
He gets a lot of flag.
You bring up The Big Bang Theory. There's a scene in the series where it's just like, oh no, it's the wrong Spock. live long and suck it, Zachary Quinto. I just remember that. But it's really, really hard to do your version of that character, especially as iconic as Leonard Nimoy made it. So I give him props for how he's able to pull that off. So,
there's so many fun scenes. The introduction of Scotty, when Bones meets Kirk for the first time.
mm-hmm.
The bar fight scene was really good. I do like this, even though it was real quick and soft spoken. I like when Spock turned down the Vulcan Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I had to just pick one, it would probably be when Kirk sits down in the captain's chair for the first time. The score to me for that is really good too. Even the opening credits when you see Star Trek after Chris Hemsworth's death, and the score picks up right then. I just really enjoyed this movie overall. I think I'm going to give this a higher rating than you, but I think I'll go into. I really like this last time around. I think I'm going to keep it a 9. I'm gonna give Star Trek a 9.
I debated between 2 grades. Originally, I had it at a 7. I was like, yeah, that seems right. But the more I thought about it, the more I think about it, and it's just like, you know what? I can't. It's not fair to judge a movie because you're not into it, or your personal preference is not what it is. So I'll give it an 8. Production-wise, it was really good. Performances, story, and honestly, like I said, it made me excited to watch Into Darkness, which I think was the goal. So,
that is good. I'm excited.
You had a casino back there, Johnny?
Yeah. I think I am excited for Into Darkness now. Over the past weekend, though, we were going to get into some emails and some social media reads. This past weekend, I asked some questions and was hoped that you guys would come and answer away. So over the last few days on Twitter, I asked, what is your favorite movie of 2023 so far? And I will read some Twitter posts back. Alex says the Super Mario Brothers, Issa Wolf, Evil Dead Rise. Corey says, haven't seen a lot, but I'm positive it's going to be Oppenheimer. Aaron says Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Timmers says John Wick Chapter 4. Cybernetic Shark says Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Vader the Traitor says Guardians of the Galaxy 3 so far. Zen says John Wick Chapter 4. My Annoyed Side says Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Mark says Across the Spider-Verse. Diaz says John Wick Chapter 4. Chip McCoy says Across the Spider-Verse. Rob says Spider-Verse. So, a lot of Spider-Verse. This should be fun. I also asked, what is your worst movie of 2023 so far? Rob says 65. Thomas says definitely the Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
I forgot that was even a thing.
Let's Mabel 92 says House Party. Mr. M says 65. One Crazy Angry Boy 778 says House Party. And then 123 The Unknown says Fast X. I also asked this question among all the other social media.
Did a 23 questionnaire type thing, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what some of the Instagram followers said. some of the worst movies again of 2023. These are some Instagram comments. Jesus Burns 420 says Operation Fortune was one of his worst movies. I like that. I don't know why. Dylan Flickering says The Resurrection of Charles Manson and Beau is Afraid.
It's okay, Johnny. It's okay.
Glory Days 405 says White Men Can't Jump remake. Dan Zig says Knock at the Cabin. And then Epic-tastic Joshua says worst movie is Knights of the Zodiac.
Never even heard of that, but okay.
Interesting. But yeah, if you guys want to comment some more, find us on social media, hit us up on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then you can always email us at cinemen921@gmail.com. That is the final nail in the coffin for Star Trek, at least until next month. Next week, though, Zach, what are we talking about?
We're talking about a new 2023 movie. Came out in March. I think it was sandwiched in April, actually, in between Super Smash Brothers and Evil Dead Rise. We're talking about Renfield, the Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult parody spoof, kind of a direct sequel to Dracula, the 1930s Dracula. I know you're really excited about it because I'm a big monster movie person, so I think you're excited to see my thoughts about it. I haven't rewatched it yet, but I'm curious to see compared to the theater viewing how it holds up.
So you did check this out in the theater.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested really just to talk to you about it because you are such a 1930s vampire.
A 1930s vampire, not a movie fan, but a 1930s vampire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. It's not very it's not very long. It doesn't drag. There's some fun performances in it. Awkwafina's in it. I try to watch anything that she's in. So if you want to watch this movie before we talk about it, it is on Peacock. You can check it out on Peacock. I think it's $5.99 for a monthly subscription to Peacock. If you want ads, if you don't want ads, it's $10. So join us next week as we talk Renfield right here, July 26th, 5:30, Facebook Live, MSLWA Productions YouTube channel, and you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Zach's gonna go drink some water. So. Yeah. What are you doing this weekend, Zach? Is it Oppenheimer and Barbie, or is it just Oppenheimer?
Don't lie. It's just Oppenheimer. It's just Oppenheimer this weekend. I might
Get the hell out of here. Weekend. No, I got my Barbie cup. I'm ready to go.
So you're going to do the double feature? You're going to do Barbie, the Barbie Hummer?
I'm going to try to go see Barbie one day and then Oppenheimer the next.
And then when I ask you, did you go do it? No, if something came up, I couldn't go.
Probably. What? But other than that, that's it, guys. Thanks for listening to the Star Trek review. Next week, Renfield on another new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Live long and prosper.